In this video, I'm going to take a look at a game which I played last weekend at a local chess club, and I had the black pieces. So we have a London, and I played c5, and I just continued my development. Here my opponent played c3, which I thought was kind of passive. I was thinking more along the lines of knight f3. So already I have, I think, better development. 2 pieces out against 1 bishop. And here my opponent played knight d2, which I immediately played this move, bishop f5, which is what I wanted to play before when I played knight f6, but I couldn't do that because, well, if I played instead bishop f5 here, then after bishop d3 I either have to trade or move the bishop away. So after knight d2 I can play bishop f5, and I like my bishop on this diagonal. And after knight f3, well, I played h6, and apparently this is a novelty, not a very good move, but the point is twofold. One is now I can retreat the bishop in case of knight h4, but more importantly is I want to go g5 at some point if my opponent castles kingside. So after knight f3, well, there's 2 main moves. I think the queen b6 is the second most popular move in this position. The first one being e6, which makes sense. So now the bishop can keep an eye on c5 in case of white captures it. And here my opponent played h3. I guess he had the same idea of retreating the bishop, but frankly I'm not interested in taking this bishop. And well, after e6, bishop e2, and here I think we transpose into another game. And after queen b6, queen b3, which is kind of annoying because, well, then we can get into an endgame. Now normally I would retreat to c7, but because the bishop is here, I kind of have to trade queens, but I don't want to take and allow knight b3, so I just gain space and force him to trade, because now, well, I also get the semi-open a file and I can put pressure on this pawn. So castles, bishop e7, bishop c7, which I don't like, and the engine doesn't like either. So I just push the pawn b5, and after bishop b6, which I thought was a very strange move. I think that well, both bishop c7 and bishop b6 are very artificial moves. After rook a7, the bishop goes back to c7, which doesn't make any sense. I think better was to go bishop c5, and after takes, well, I was planning on targeting this pawn either with a rook or maybe with a knight. But even stronger is e5, just gaining more space. So after bishop c7, I play g5 because, well, now I have this hook where I can play g4, and, well, if the knight moves, I can take and open up the g file. And, well, if white captures, then I'm still opening up the file. So my opponent played this move b3, which I think is a bit too slow. And here I went king d7, so attacking the bishop, because I feel that my king is gonna be safe in the center of the board as long as we don't have this pawn break and taking here. So the bishop retreats, and here, well, this is not technically a blunder, but the engine really hates this move, rook h7. Much better was rook e8, putting pressure on this pawn. And after something like a4, this is getting extremely complicated. You could take here, you could take here. If white's not careful, black is gonna win an exchange. And if black is not careful, then the traits of these pawns are gonna open up the position, and the king is kind of in the hot seat. So after rook h7, my opponent decided to capture and then play rook e1. I mean, I guess the idea is to push the pawn, but the bishop is blocking the protection, so you can't really do it right away. So I just went with my plan of g4. Here, rook a3 is also what the engine prefers, but I don't think it's that good, because now the rook is on h7, and back when the rook was on h8, then you could double up and put pressure on it. But here, I don't know. I mean, it's still a good move, but I like g4. And after takes, knight h2. Well, then here I decided to trade bishops because, well, this is my bad bishop, and this is white's good bishop, because all my pawns are on dark squares, and, well, white's pawns are on the dark squares, so I like this trade. And here I went h5, just I didn't want the knight coming here to potentially come here, and, well, also threatening to take my bishop. And after e5, I went bishop g5, and here, well, I might take the knight. Not that I'm going to, but the threat is there. Although the computer likes this move b4, and just it starts to get very complicated. After b takes e4, b takes e3, I mean, I don't know what's going on. These two pawns are putting pressure on the d pawn. Pushing is an idea. This pawn is hanging. This pawn, is it a liability or an asset? I don't know. This is getting too complicated for my puny brain. So after bishop g5, he took and I took, and knight f3, bishop goes back, check, and here I have to take with the bishop. And, well, here now I don't want him to push and open up the position with my king in the center. So I go king e6, and I'm basically using white's own pawn as a shield. And, well, after this computer moves, he takes a3, knight a5. I mean, I wouldn't say that I love black's position, but I don't necessarily hate it. If I look at it from white's perspective, then yeah, it looks really bad. I mean, white is struggling for a draw, definitely. But that being said, white has 3 weak pawns, whereas all of black's pawns are weak. This is isolated and weak, isolated and weak, isolated and weak, and 3 isolated pawns. This pawn may try to promote in the future, but it's still a lot of work. So after king e6, takes, I'm happy because now my pawn structure is better. And now it's, well, black who has the better pawn structure. And after f4, well, rook a3, finally playing that move. Better late than ever. Putting pressure on the pawn. And here, knight f3. Is this right? Why didn't I just take the pawn? That's strange. And here my opponent decided to defend the pawn. I guess we must have been running low on time, maybe that's why I didn't take the pawn. And, well, here I went rook g4. And here my opponent made the decisive mistake. Knight d4 check. And, well, after something like knight g5 check, king e7, I think white is fine. The position should be roughly equal. But after knight d4, you're just gonna lose this pawn, at least. So after takes, this pawn is being attacked. And this guy is a protected passed pawn. And if you play something like, well, rook d1, this is very passive. Now you can just push the pawn, or push this guy. So I can understand why my opponent played this move. But after takes, well, this is gonna drop. So after this, takes. Here, I think he should take this, even though it looks pretty scary after this. I mean, this should be winning for black. But this is just too slow. I mean, I take the pawn, he takes. Now I double on the second rank. And, well, this looks over because it is over. Here my opponent captured. And after rook check, I mean, how is white gonna survive with no pawns? And these pawns are just gonna, one of them is gonna promote. Here my opponent played king f1, I played rook h2, and in the actual video, if you see it, I thought my opponent had played this move. I thought he was gonna like put the rook here and try to put pressure on this pawn, but actually he played this move, rook e1 check. Now he didn't actually say check in during the game, and since it was a blitz game and we were running low on time, I actually played rook h1 thinking it was checkmate, and my opponent just resigned. He didn't even tell me that it was check. So, but I mean, either way, it's just like, well, I can go back here, and, well, eventually I'm just gonna push the pawns. Yes, you can throw in checks with the rook, but the king is just gonna just keep dancing around, and if you check with this rook, well, I can block it. So either way, I'm winning. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was a pretty nice game. And, well, now everyone seems to be playing the London these days, so I'm probably gonna see it again. And, well, if you like the video, please hit the like button and share and subscribe. And thank you for watching.